Good morning, guys. This is Mrs. Scoot, and this is our math lesson for this week. It's the last week of distance learning and the last week of school. I hope you guys have a great last week before you guys start summer break next week. I'm going to go ahead and share screen. Okay, so this week we are going to focus on the properties of multiplication. So like the properties of addition, they're the same names. They might look a little bit different, and actually one of them is completely different. There's no associative property there is, but we're going to focus on the distributive property instead. Okay, so the first one is the commutative property, and if you remember from last week, what was our key word for the commutative property? To flip it. So we have 7 times 2, and what we do is we do 7 times 2 equals 2 times 7. We flip it. What it's saying is that 7 times 2 is going to equal the same thing as 2 times 7. It doesn't matter the order. Identity property is a little bit different than addition, because remember, identity property with addition is 0, because you're adding 0. Well, identity property with multiplication isn't 0, it's 1. You multiply 1 times a number to get that number. So 1 times 7 will show me 7. Because remember, you're trying to equal the number that is in the problem. So 1 times 7 equals 7. I'm trying to get 7. So identity property for multiplication, our keyword is 1. Now, distributive property is a little bit different. We still have a group, but this time with multiplication, our multiplication, our number on the outside of the group is going to multiply into it first. So we're going to do, I'm drawing my little arrows. So before we add the numbers inside, we have to multiply. So it'll turn into 2 times 1. We're going to recreate our groups plus 2 times 1. So you see how 2 goes into 1, so we do 2 times 1, and that makes a different group. And then 2 goes into the other one and makes the second group. So we do 2 times 1 plus 2 times 1. So now I'm going to switch back. So 2 times 1 is 2. And then I'm going to come to the second group. I'm not going to add anything yet. And then 2 times 1 is 2. Now I'm going to add those two groups together now that I've solved them. So 2 plus 2 is 4. So with the distributive property, you're distributing that multiplication number, or the number on the outside of the group, into the group, like my arrow showed. Then you do what's inside of the two new groups first, then you add them together. Now I'm going to show you again on another problem. Okay, so first, commutative property. What is our key word? It is to flip. No matter the order, it's going to equal the same thing. So 3 times 2 equals 2 times 3. Identity property for multiplication. Our key word is 1. And 1 times 8 equals that same number, 8. Okay, distributive property with multiplication. So what am I going to do first? I'm not going to do what's in the group first. I'm going to distribute my 2 first into my group. So I'm going to do 2 times 2 and 2 times 2. And I'm going to make those new groups. So my first one, I go 2 times 2 because I distributed the 2 here. Then I'm going to do plus, and I'm going to create a second group. I distributed my 2 again to do 2 times 2. Okay, my next step is to do the multiplication in each of those groups. So 2 times 2 is 4. And then I come to my second group. I don't add anything yet. 2 times 2 is 4. Now I add those two numbers together. Make sure you pay attention to the signs. We did this a while ago back in the fall semester, so I know that this has been a while. That's why we're reviewing it. And 4 plus 4 is 8. Remember, your first step is to distribute the multiplying number into the group. So 2 times 2, because that's our first number. And then 2 times 2, and that's our second number. So we get this group, and we get that group. And then we multiply and get 4, and we multiply and we get 4. Then we add those two together because there was an adding symbol right here. Okay, guys, so here's our practice problems. You only have one page. So number 1 says, show me the commutative property with the following problems. So 3 times 2 and 4 times 2. Remember the keyword, commutative property is to flip. Number 2, which there's not a number 2. There we go. Number 2 says, show me the identity property with the following problems. Fill in the blank. So blank times 8 equals blank. Blank times 4 equals blank. Remember, identity property, you're showing me that number. So what do you need to multiply by 8 to get that number? What do you need to multiply by 4 to get that number? And then the last one, number 3, solve the problem using the distributive property. So remember, so it's 1 times, then you have a group that says 3 plus 2. Remember, your first step is to distribute that 1 into the 2 different numbers. And then you come over and you make 2 new groups with 1 times and then 1 times. After you've solved the 2 groups, multiplying in the 2 groups, then you add them together. If you need to rewind the video and take a look at the other practice problems that I did for you to help you figure it out, you can. If not, just work these out on a sheet of paper, and if you need help, ask your parents, and you can always email me if you need help as well, or call or set up a video conference. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop share, so if you need to pause the screen so you can see the problems, I would pause it right now. I hope you guys have a great last week of school. If you are in 3rd going to 4th grade, I hope to see you next year, and I'm excited to see you next year. If you're 4th going to 5th grade, I hope you guys have a great 5th grade year at EI. I miss you guys, and I love you guys. Have a great last week and a great summer. Bye.